here with Stephen Karpenko, an entrepreneurship professor from Bishop's University. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Lar. Hi, everyone.
Stephen, what did you think of the Pi method and program as you were going through the process of rolling it out within your digital entrepreneurship course?
Well, it started with the introduction to Pi, and I had known Salar from earlier in my career. We had worked together, and I knew that he was working on some project. And as I explored what I was doing, I was looking for something new for my entrepreneurship course. And the course is on new venture creation, called Entrepreneurship 101. And I was just looking for something new, a new spark. It's now moved from being a more traditional classroom course to 100% online, and so the content is really, really important. It has to have a self-directed component. And so as I discovered Pi, Solar was really generous. He kind of led me into it. I was also looking at it from a professional development standpoint, as a coach, professionally, which I am. Applying it within my workplace to colleagues to kind of give them that entrepreneurship experience without actually having to own a company. And Pi kind of delivered in both areas. And so as I got into it and as Solar kind of led me into it, I really saw the benefits and the uniqueness of the content, and started that opened up my creativity and how I could apply it to my own course. And that's really where the journey began.
That's great, Steve. As you went through that experience, what was the most beneficial component of Pi for you?
That's a great question. We were dealing with a mature course, and it wasn't something that there wasn't a need to sort of pull it apart and try and reconfigure the whole course. It really was well liked and well attended within Bishops. And so what we did was focused on the different modules, and what Solar and I came up with was on the innovation aspect of it. So when you think of Pi right at the beginning, which is the idea generation, the ideation, how students might come up with their idea, I thought that was a weakness in my course. And there are structured methods of teaching it, like using the Eric Ries lean startup method or business model canvas, but I thought those weren't creative enough for the students. And I also thought that in a spring course, so in the spring semester, not in the intense part of the school year, I thought that there would be more room for creativity with them. And that was really what got me with Pi, was the innovation, kind of the front end of the cycle. And then we managed to find room for the leadership and project management parts, but it was really the different tools and different ways of looking at a problem or an opportunity or a challenge that Pi gave me really something to work with. And that was the part that I really took and replaced in my course. I took the structure out of the front end and replaced it with kind of the fluidity or the creativity that Pi facilitates, and I thought that was made a real difference in the course ultimately.
Were you happy with the training and support you received in implementing Pi into your digital entrepreneurship course?
Absolutely, and that was a big difference. I mean, there obviously there's a ton of stuff on entrepreneurship, and there's YouTube and just things you can go and try and figure out on your own. But when I reached out to Solar, and plus it was a kind of a win-win in the sense that I was so happy to support Prepr with the Prepr.org mission, and I'm a big fan of social entrepreneurship and the B Corp certification and different colleagues I've met, and that part of it I really connected with as well. So it was a pleasure to work with Pi and to try and figure out what worked. And Solar made time to come out and meet me a couple times, and provided the resources I needed and made available the kits in the right quantity and with the right kind of terms. The university environment's a little bit different, a little bit more procedural in terms of how students pay for materials and acquire materials, whether it's through the bookstore or other channels. And Solar really made it happen and made it easy for me to get back to what I really wanted, which was that innovation cycle, and be able to focus on that. And then I was really pleasantly surprised by just the uniqueness of the Prepr kit and the poster and the cards, and the book's fantastic. It's not too dense. It's a kind of a light read, and I thought really fit into the program the way I wanted to redesign it.
Would you recommend Pi to other professors and educators?
I recommend Pi to other professors and educators, and I know that from my experience with Enactus, which is the entrepreneurship, global entrepreneurship program or movement, the Enactus competition, I've met so many different colleagues teaching entrepreneurship across the country, and I know you and a little bit, and I think that checking out Prepr and Pi would be something really worth looking into, and maybe not only connecting what I did, which was fitting in that front end with the creative and the ideation part, but maybe also looking at prepr.org as something, if you have a full year course or you have multiple courses in your entrepreneurship program, that there's different things you could fit in. And I think the social entrepreneurship element, I mean, you could almost create a whole other course based on Prepr and the competitions, and really get students engaged in social entrepreneurship, because let's face it, that is really it's just as important as any other part of the course of an entrepreneurship program.
And how do you see yourself using the Pi method in the future?
Well, I've more than dipped my toe into it. We kind of walked right into the stream now, and so now that we've kind of, I guess, smoothed out some of the edges in terms of getting the content ready, and myself knowing it a lot better, because that was one of the things, was me being really at the beginning really green in terms of my own knowledge of Prepr and the different content elements. Now that I've gone through that learning curve, the logistics of putting the content into the students' hands, I'll be looking at opening up more parts of the course and seeing what else I can find. One of the things we discussed were there's a lot of links in the Prepr text, and how can we provide that in an electronic format, and again, linking to other resources like YouTube, but in a way that brings that whole Prepr mentality and just reinforces it and makes it stronger. I think those are real opportunities for not only for me in my one course, but also for Prepr and for Solar to get involved with your programs and look at it in terms of not just one thing or two things, but really the whole range of experiences that you can create with this great product.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and thanks for your time, everyone.